Welcome back to Coach's Corner. We're sitting here in Durant today talking to head wrestling coach Jim Weisrock. Coach, welcome in today.
Thanks.
It's first time on the Coaches Show, so that's pretty exciting.
It is.
Let's kick it off right away and talk about how many guys you got.
Well, we have anywhere between 17 and 20. We have some guys who are struggling academically, so we haven't really counted them as on the team yet, but we have 17 strong guys who come down to the room every day, and we're pretty happy with those numbers.
Early season practices are in full gear. You're probably not any different. You have conferences, you have Thanksgiving to deal with. How's early practices been going?
I think we've had pretty high effort in the room. We continue to try to strive every day just to get a little better and be a little more focused on wrestling. It takes a while for the guys to get kind of broke into the season. So I don't know. We always have a focus during the season to peak at in February. So early on in the season, we try to get in our work, try to get a little bit better wrestling condition. I know most of the guys went out for either cross country or football, and that shape is just a lot different than wrestling shape. And we're trying to get them more into wrestling shape and a little less sore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just kind of working out the kinks a little bit and working on a little technique. But I think the guys' effort is really good. I'm really happy with the attitude this year. I mean, they come in with a positive attitude to practice every day, and I think they're ready to go.
Let's talk about your coaching staff. Kind of sometimes the forgotten people, because with volunteers and stuff, I mean, just you got two people on the mat at a time. So,
Sure.
Who returns? Who's new?
What
do you do?
We have our normal coaching staff that I've had for the last 3 years. We have Craig Weisrock as my main assistant, and then Joe Bohr is also a paid assistant. And then we have a bunch of guys who got their coaching certificates in the last couple of years. Some of them are ex-wrestlers, some of them are just guys who want to get in the room. I'll drop some names like Austin Kessler. He has his coaching certificate. He's always a good guy to have in the room. Always a good guy to have in the room. Cameron Costello has been coming in the room, and a few years ago he was pretty successful here at Durant. Phil Relk's coming in the room a little bit. Joe Bird's coming in the room again. Well, about 20 years ago, he's pretty successful. He's a big guy, and he's been working with our big guys a little bit. Just some older guys that have been coming in the room. It's always good to have the more hands in the room. I've always thought was better.
Right. Now, it has to be pretty pleasing to see some of your former wrestlers come back too.
Oh, that's always nice. I also forgot to mention Will Rodgen. He's playing football a bit. I don't know how much he's going to come into the room because a lot of times football stuff has to take from him. But he's also coming in the room and working with our big guys, so that's really good. But I always like I think you have a good program when you have your ex-wrestlers still coming in the room.
Right.
I mean, they still enjoy wrestling and want to come back and help.
Well, it has to be a benefit for the younger guys too to see. I mean, they haven't all of a sudden discovered wrestling this year. I mean, they've watched those guys come along for the ride too. So
I always say, if your name's up on the wall, you're always welcome back. And all those guys' names up on the wall, so that means they were pretty successful in Durant history.
Let's turn our attention now to the lineup. I talked to you a couple weeks ago for a preview story for our paper, but now it's kind of maybe. Do you have a better feel for where some of those spots are going to be?
Yeah, we had body fat tests like two and a half weeks ago, I think, and that kind of shows where some of the guys can go. And then I sit down and talk to most of the guys and see where they're going to be comfortable at, if they're used to losing weight or not losing weight, or if they don't want to, if they want to keep their weight up so they can keep lifting and getting stronger, or kind of talk to each individual about their goals, look at their descent plans, see where they might want to go as far as weight classes are concerned. And like Chase X-Line this year didn't really grow any over the summer, kind of stayed about the same weight, and he's going 6 again. And I think obviously he was successful last year, and we want to he kind of wants to roll with that. I know he was kind of disappointed coming home from Des Moines not having a medal, and I think he really wants to kind of strive for that. I know the rankings came out I think Thursday or Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday.
Right.
I think it was Tuesday, and I think he was ranked 3rd in the state. And so I think, I don't know. He just wants to. He's worked hard, and he wants to, do better than what he did last year and, come home with a medal. Aaron, obviously, he wants to go 13, but his descent plan said he couldn't go down until the week before break. So he's going to wrestle 20 for the next couple weeks, which will probably be good for him this coming weekend with the tournament we have. I mean, there's some good competition at 20. We have a couple freshmen coming in then. We have Tanner Kleppe at 26 and Gavin Blake at 32, and those guys are both freshmen, but they're good wrestlers, and they've been around a long time. They worked in our junior program for quite some time, so, we're looking for them to kind of step up, especially in the dual meets. I don't know if they're going to go JV on the weekends or go varsity on the weekends. We haven't really decided yet. I'm still talking to them about, where their comfort level is. I kind of want to ease them into I don't want to really throw them to the wolves right away.
It's 3 weeks into the season. So.
Yeah. I mean, we try to get those guys with maybe some more success.
Right.
You don't want to have them be a little more successful and early, and then maybe their confidence goes up, and it's always good to have a confident wrestler going out there. Next, 3 guys at 38, 45, and 52 are Chance Brooks, Henry Hansen, and Austin Barton-Hagen. Those guys all wrestled last year for me. I know Chance and Austin were freshmen last year and got some time in at varsity, but mostly, JV guys, and, they just are ready to step up and kind of go in the varsity spot. I know Henry's thinking about going 38, but, sometimes his weight kind of fluctuates a little bit right now. It's early in the season. He's having kind of a hard time managing it a little bit, but he's doing a great job, watching it. It's just sometimes it's hard to get down to 38 right away.
Right.
So he's going to go 45 for us tonight, especially. And he says, he's going to see how he feels, if he feels strong out there and stuff against his opponents.
Well, like with Aaron and some other, going at a higher weight can't hurt.
Well, I think the competition that you have at those higher weights, is going to, then when you do go down to your, your minimum weight and the weight that you want to wrestle, maybe those guys won't be as big, and maybe you won't be used to the strength against you and stuff like that, and it'll be better. It'll almost be more advantageous to wrestle up for a little bit.
Mentally, that helps too.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm a firm believer in winning's really good for mental stability.
Right.
Taking losses is hard on a guy. You
Right.
You can't.
Right.
It's not like any other sport. You can't really blame anybody.
Right.
It's the way it is, either you won or you lost. So, we like to get guys wins to keep their confidence up, but I think if you're up a weight and you're up a weight, the competition is good. I'd rather have them compete this time of the year.
Right.
Compete with high competition, high level of competition.
Yeah.
That's what I'd really like to do. 60 is Nick Sorgenfrey. This is his first year wrestling. He's a senior though, and he just kind of want to come out and try it. And we didn't have anybody else at 60, and we're just kind of, going to see how he does. 70 and 82 are Kyle LaFrenz and Dexter Sargent. Kyle's a sophomore, wrestled for us last year and did a good job for us. I think he was a little above 500 last year, and Dexter, I think, was about the same. He's a senior this year, and last year he's like maybe about 500, maybe right at 500. Brandon Dykes is at 95. He's a freshman, and like I said with the other freshmen, we're just kind of working him in a little bit slowly. I know Friday night he's going to go down to Wapello and wrestle in their JV tournament just to get some matches in and make sure that he's getting used to the whole process of high school wrestling.
That's kind of important at this time of year too, to get matches, right? On top of competing, you want to get mat time.
I think mat time is very important, especially for some of these kids who, some of these young men who are freshmen and stuff have never wrestled like 40 or 50 matches in a year. Yeah. And that gets pretty wearing.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of wears on guys after a while. When there's the sophomores, I can tell, kind of look at it and go, we know what's coming up. But as a freshman, you're kind of, what's coming up?
Well, the junior high
never ends.
The junior high programs are only through that first half of the winter too. So, coming back from Christmas break, you still have another month and a half, 2 months. So,
we always say that's when the season starts.
Right.
Is after Christmas break, because before Christmas break, it's just wrestling.
Right.
Get out there and compete and try to improve and work on your technique or whatever. But then after Christmas is when the real push starts, and we really start gearing up for sectionals, districts, and conference, obviously. Last 2 guys are Drew George. Obviously, Drew's been with us for a long, long time, and he wrestled through our junior program, and he's been wrestling with Barton Hagen X-Line for ever, for
Right.
as long as they've been, when they were little boys, they were wrestling. So, we're expecting big things from Drew this year. He's
We had
he's
a
gonna
nice-
go at 220, and, he's been at third place for, I think, 2 straight years at districts, and I think he wants to get over the hump this year, and he really is working hard in the room right now, so hopefully. And Levi Nowitzki was with us for a little bit last year and got injured about Christmas time, and he had a high ankle sprain and really struggled coming back, but he's a pretty athletic kid for 285. Pretty impressive.
As you look through here, strengths that you see?
Um,
Or is it too
I
early?
think, I don't know, I don't know if it's too early to look at strengths. When I look at my lineup, I see that we're almost full. That's
It's a big strength.
That's big strength for us. And for a 1A team, I don't think I've ever gone through a whole season where our lineup was full. I think that helps. I think that always helps that, especially with the 1A school, sometimes we struggle with numbers. And this year, we have good numbers, and I'm pretty happy.
Well, looking through the conference, you can look at different schools. Not every school has a full lineup. It's year in, year out.
Yep.
So this seems like a
Yeah.
fortunate year for you guys.
Yeah, I think
So-
it does. And we're pretty spread out too. We don't have a lot of guys doubling up. And like next week, we have a lot of guys bumping down a weight, because of the body fat test. And, their descent plan only said that they could, wrestle certain weights this week. Well, it seems like next week they're all kind of catching up with their descent plan, and we'll all bump down next week. So it'll be all right.
Well, let's take a break here. We'll come back and talk about some of these early meets and tournaments coming up. It's going to be starting here tonight. So we'll be right back.